Hello, beautiful people. I am Tina from Tina Travels Abroad. This video is specifically for a certain demographic, so you can see from the thumbnail. I get asked this question a lot, and it's specifically from African Americans. That's, Black people that live in the United States. This question is always asked is Europe a racist country towards Black Americans or African Americans? And I made a YouTube short about it, but it was just too short, I guess, to cover a lot of the questions or a lot of concerns. And I will address that. I'm living abroad in Europe. I've been abroad for 5.5 years, and I'm currently in Strasbourg, France. I've traveled many countries, 37 to be exact, and most of them are in Europe. So I can answer this question from the best of my ability and from my experience too. And I will be, totally upfront about it. And yes, so the first question is, well, there's many questions, but the main question is Europe a racist country towards Black Americans? And I have to say, in general, no, because it's not there's racism everywhere, as we know, right? But Europe has a different context when it comes to racism. It's more connected with immigration and making sure that other countries are not coming into Europe and taking advantage of the social services, because they have such good social services here, like housing. You can, if you're a citizen, you can go to school free, you can have great housing that helps you out, gives you money toward it, but you have to be a citizen, or you have to have become a resident or something like that. So for example, France has great social service. So they tend to have this issue about having just a bunch of people coming from different countries. So a lot of Europe has a problem with immigration. So you will get a lot of people that, you have some mean, racist people who are like, go back to your own country because this is ours, that kind of thing. And because Europe has so many other countries that are right next to each other, this is the main problem. And of course you will have, some countries that are not so great at it, than others. Like Italy has a problem with it because they have a lot of people coming from other countries trying to get away from the bad situations in their own, like, Syria and different places. Some parts of the African continents, they're coming to Italy because it's closer and it's a better living. So of course, who wouldn't want to leave, a bad situation and come to the Europe where, it's better. So to address that part of the racism, that's more what you would deal with. Sorry about the change in lighting. I had to move a little bit because the sun is coming out. So I will continue. I last left off, I think I was talking about France and how, for example, France has a good social service. So they try to protect, the French economy and all that. And many European countries are like that. So there is racism when it comes to that, people who are from another country, okay, I keep needing to adjust my camera because of lighting. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Yes, so racism towards Black Americans is different in Europe, where I don't experience it the way it is in the United States. And I'll explain that again. We are Americans, right? So we are treated as such here, not different categories, more just Americans. So if we come from a westernized country, it's the richest country right now in the world, or so it's said. And so you get treated just as an American. That's all I can say. It's hard to explain. I haven't really had any, the type of racism that you experience in the US where it feels hateful. And because, I'm American, and the people who are concerned about these issues are Black Americans. We are Americans. And in Europe, there's no differentiation between a white American, an Asian American, Mexican Americans. They were born, as long as you were born and raised in America, you are an American, and if you even get your citizenship, there, and you're a foreigner, but now you're not, you're still American. There is no difference. Whereas, you know, that's the way it is here in Europe and most other countries. In the United States, it's not like that. So I think that's where the fear comes in, and the fact that in the U.S. racism is different. It's more hateful because it comes from a history of slavery. It comes from a history of whites being superior and wanting to stay there. So it hasn't really, even though the U.S. is the new world, is younger than all the countries, it's still a little slow when it comes to, for some reason. It wasn't always slow because it had improved many years, for civil rights and all that, and then was doing good as far as race relations, and then all of a sudden it just started going backwards in the 2000s. But anyway, that's another story too. But I want to kind of reassure Black Americans that you won't get that treatment here, because America is one of the countries that we sometimes think that it's not respected and people don't like us. They don't like our government. A lot of times they don't like our politics, Europeans, Asians, or whatever, Asian countries or whatever, but they do like Americans. And that I was surprised about when I started traveling. They're curious, they watch our TV programs, our music, our culture is very much celebrated here in Europe, especially Black American culture. Yes, Black American or African American culture is celebrated here in Europe. Again, I said I'm in France, but I've traveled all over Europe, and I get amazing treatment or great treatment. Of course, you have moments or times where there's going to be some a-holes, or some not nice people, but that's anywhere in the world. And anywhere in Europe, you're going to find that. But for the most part, I have to be very honest. I feel more freer here than I do, meaning I feel more freer in Europe than I do in my own home country of the United States. And that is because it seems we're reversing backwards in race relations. And not just that part, I think it has a lot to do with why Americans in the United States tend to be, they seem angry, frustrated, stressed out, in a hurry. And I think it's because we don't have a lot of the social things that Europe and some other countries have naturally for their citizens. And that's what I mean, and what I mean by that is, a good social system, meaning free health care. Universities are free for, European citizens, or the Europeans, their universities are free. They also have, like I said, health care that's available, good food. They're not, expected to work 40 and 50, over 40 hours a week. It's not a mandatory type thing. So the culture is different. But I want to get back to if it's racism toward Black Americans. I think I addressed that, but I kind of want to go, just kind of put a period on it, because you will feel, I must be honest, a little bit more special here in Europe as a Black American, because many a times you may be in a country where, especially if it's a country that's not as diverse, but that doesn't mean anything. For example, like if you're somewhere in Eastern Europe and you're in Hungary or Czech Republic, which, Budapest or Prague, those countries, and even Poland. I love Poland. It's not as diverse, but that's why, a lot of people are fearful, because they don't see enough of us. So you think that it's a racist country, and actually they're not. I get treated better in those countries than I do in my own country, because their experience of us is not through history of American history. So the curiosity that you get is refreshing, actually. They want to know, more about whatever state you come from, or more about the United States, because let's face it, everyone, this world is more international, more global. We speak English now, which is becoming the global language. So there's a lot of interest in America, North America, United States. And so you get, it's kind of refreshing because a lot of the music over here in Europe is from the US, even though I love cultural music too. So I listen to different types of music from the actual country too. But you'll find when you come that you'll be comfortable. All the restaurants and the cafes and all of that are playing our music. And I mean Black American music. I mean soul, R&B, reggae, if you want to get right to it, rap, you know. And yes, Kendrick Lamar was a thing here too. The beef between Drake and Kendrick was here. Yeah, I'm a Kendrick fan, so I have to throw that in there. But anyway, that was a thing here too. So it's great. I think I want to be able to just kind of squash that fear. You will get, and I'll make another video a little longer about different countries and you know which one you really enjoy. I think Europe in general, because they don't have the context that we experience in the United States, coming from, you know, slavery, and so then you have to overcome that through segregation and on and on and on. They didn't have that in their countries. So with us, they don't see us in that way. They just, like I said, they know us as Americans. So when you come abroad, you're American. Even if you know, when you have money and you know, you're a good citizen and you want to go and shop in an expensive store in the United States, sometimes Americans, Black Americans, feel a little, you know, little fearful, because it's like it's still a thing, as if, you know, you don't have. It's, you know, that you still stared at, you know, you're still watched. And that's a whole nother story, but, you know, I kind of want you to understand that that doesn't happen here, especially, I mean, it probably happens in certain contexts and certain things, because certain people are people. So it depends on where you are and who the person is. But generally, if you're going into a store or whatever, high end or whatever, they don't just automatically stare at you and follow you through the store. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. You feel protected. They're friendly. You can talk to them. You know, they're actually, a lot of the police are kind of just roaming through roaming down the street, you know, because in Europe, depending on where you are, everything's walkable. You are, you know, maybe sitting outside in a square or piazza, which is the main area where people hang. And so you'll see, especially here, like in Strasbourg, where I am, there's the police, but there's also, because it's France and it's a little different because they've had some terrorism issues, so you will see military police walking around with actual guns. And that's new. I think about 5 or 6 years ago they implemented that. But even that, at first it was kind of off-putting. I was like, ooh, you know, because in the US, where guns is just, when you see guns, you just freak out. But they are holding them and they're out. But you know, they're friendly and they're just like watching what's happening, making sure everything's safe. And you know, as a matter of fact, yesterday I'm walking past, and it's usually, they're military. It's usually like 5 or 6 of them. They're all together walking through the neighborhoods or the streets, and just watching. And I walked past, and I had gotten comfortable, and they were smiling at me, and it was like, bonjour, madame. And I was like, bonjour, you know, and it was like, oh, it just feels good. You don't get that in the United States, because the police are, even though the history of how the police was formed in the United States is even different from everywhere else. So here, it's for protection. It's not to, they don't automatically think you're guilty right away, whereas in America, it's not to protect you per se. It's actually, you feel like you're guilty first before innocent. So it feels yeah, there's a difference, you know, where you feel protected, as I said before, and unlike in the United States, where I said before, the police are not there to protect you, even though they're supposed to. That's the way it's supposed to be. But they're there to, they're more of a power. It's a power and more of a power dynamic in the United States, where they want you to know, I'm in charge, you're supposed to fear me. That's the difference. In the United States, they want, the police officers want you to fear them. They like that. It's a part of what the culture is. Police culture is like that. Police culture comes from, it's rooted in racism too. So there's a history of it. Whereas in other countries, they don't have that. It's not rooted in that. And that's all the countries that I visited in Europe. And that's, like I said, it's been 37. And I never fear them. They just walk past me, I walk past them. If I'm in the grocery store and in there shopping, or, you know, they might have one or two at the door depending on what, you know, country you're in. But for the most part, they are there to protect you, and you do feel it. You feel like they're there to protect you. They smile. You can walk up, which I do. I walk up and I ask for directions, you know, when I'm lost. You never do that in the United States. You will never approach a police officer to ask for directions unless you're a foreigner and you don't know any better. So I will end it here. And I'm going to leave it at this. Come to Europe, any other country, any European country you want to visit. I'm going to make more videos about the ones that I think that you enjoy the most. I think everybody has different tastes though, so even that's, you know, relative. But I'm going to do a video on that too. But I want Black Americans or people of color to not fear. And I say that because we do have fears from the U.S. That's, you know, that's well founded. And I'm trying to look for the word. It's you know, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for our fears. They're substantiated. That's what I'm looking for. And so I understand the fear. Like I said, I'm going to end it at that. Just, you know that you are just an American here. And, you know, just go to the country that you've wanted to visit. I just say, be yourself, be respectful, learn some of the language that you're in, you know, the basics, please, thank you, how much is this, and, you know, smile and respect the culture. You know, don't expect them to cater to us as Americans, automatically speaking English. Don't assume that happens, because it doesn't. So it's really all about respecting their culture. Okay, I'm going to end it here and leave you with this video of beautiful Strasbourg, France. It's currently where I am. It's where I base myself for the moment. But yeah, choose a country you like to visit. It could be Italy, it could be Germany, it could be Switzerland. But you know, travel is all what you make it. Come with a positive attitude and excitement, and I'm sure you'll have a great time. Europeans are very welcoming people for the most part. So yeah, plan your trip and just come. All right, bye.